Good morning. Now 9 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Immigration's raids are set to resume in Los Angeles after from the Supreme Court that allowed so-called roving immigration raids to resume. They had been put on hold by a lower court.
A federal judge found the tactics used were unconstitutional, saying agents were detaining people without probable cause based on their race, accent, and line of work. But the Supreme Court saying demographic realities in the region justify the agents' actions. Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissenting, writing, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job." But Justice Brett Kavanaugh saying such factors taken together can constitute at least reasonable suspicion of a legal presence in the United States.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. A Clarksville assistant football coach escorted out of Friday night's game against his wishes. Northwest High School coach Trey Campbell had been praying with some students and holding his Bible. He was allegedly told that if he didn't put the Bible down, he would be removed, and he was. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
The school says there's more to it, though, writing to us in part saying, "It's my understanding that the concern was not with private prayer, but that the principal received a concern that an employee was proselytizing in their official capacity. We will investigate, and I can share more when that investigation has concluded. It is a constitutional violation for public school staff to require prayer, but they can join students in prayer if it's voluntary."
In protest of the coach's removal, some students carried their Bibles to school yesterday. A 12-year-old arrested in DeKalb County for making a threat against his school.
The student got out of the car line last week, and as he was walking into the school, he told another student he had a gun in his backpack and would shoot up the school. And someone, gladly is what he said. The witness then told the teacher that. Well, the 12-year-old boy admitted to making the threat. The school resource officer said there were no weapons or threatening notes actually found.
That's Channel 4's Lydia Fielder. In Germantown, a dangerous intersection has some stop signs and flashing lights now. It's that same intersection along 3rd Avenue where 2 pedestrians were hit by cars in 2 separate incidents. In one of them, an elderly woman was killed.
Glad that they're making some changes here. It can be scary to cross, especially when cars don't stop and knowing what has happened.
Next month, NDOT is installing flashing beacons in that same spot. The U.S. already has collected some $72 billion in tariffs from President Trump's reciprocal tariffs, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has warned that if the Supreme Court rules against the administration, all that money will have to be refunded. The High Court is deciding if President Trump overstepped his bounds when using emergency powers to impose country-specific tariffs. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. The Dow is still up by 11 points, but the NASDAQ taking a turn now. It's negative by 7. S&P 500 index above just a fraction. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
We need to build a wall, and it has to be built quickly.
Good morning. It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Beautiful morning today in Tennessee. I mean, gosh, does it get any better than this?
Dude, it was so nice driving in this morning.
It's been so nice.
My AC has been unfortunately out, but I'm not complaining because it feels so good outside. I've driven the whole way here with my windows down.
Let's go.
It feels so good outside.
You got to love it when the weather makes up for where the car lacks.
Oh, for sure.
It's
I am
clutch.
here for it.
It's clutch.
Here for it.
I mean, I've had last winter the heat went out in my car.
Ooh.
And that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. When the weather cooperates, it's nice.
Yeah. How many layers did you get up to?
Well, the heated seat still worked.
That's good.
So that was really nice. That was a blessing.
Your body must have been real confused.
That was a blessing. I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, yeah, shivering at the top.
Yeah, upper body frozen, lower half sweating.
Very toasty rump.
Yeah.
It's just the way it worked out. We got a big show for you today. Very excited about it. My friend Bailey from Turning Point USA is going to be coming in. She's going to talk to us at 9:35 about how you can start a Turning Point USA chapter at your kid's high school or college. This is a big deal. We talk a lot about conservative values, but we got to help as the adults in the room to push those values to the forefront. Turning Point USA is doing that on campuses across the nation, and I think that they do a great thing. Because we're still seeing leftist ideology at play on campuses all over the place. I mean, it was just yesterday, viral video, Texas A&M. There was a kid booted out of a lecture hall because he objected to gender ideology being taught during a children's literature course at the college. This is what we're fighting against. Just because we have the Trump administration back doesn't mean the fight is over. These people have burrowed underneath the surface. They're still there waiting at all these institutions, whether it's the high schools, whether it's the colleges. So we need to step up. Turning Point USA is doing that on campuses across the country. Very excited to have Bailey in and talk about the need and the desire to start a Turning Point chapter at your kid's school. It's going to be a great conversation. Every time we have them in, I get a bunch of emails like, Chris, thank you. I didn't know how easy this was to start a chapter and promote conservative values. Now, they're not promoting candidates. They're not promoting anything other than the Constitution, capitalism, the greatness of America. This is what kids need to hear because they're not getting it from the thought leaders at a lot of these schools. They're just not. There's some good teachers, make no mistake about it. There is, especially in this state, great teachers. But there are others. There are others. So we'll talk to Bailey at 9:35. At 10:05 today, Gino Bulso is going to come in for an edition of Come At Me, Bruh. He's going to take questions from you. Gino is running for Mark Green's congressional seat. One of the four guys that was on the debate stage with Matt Murphy just a couple nights ago. He's running against Jody Barrett, Lee Reeves, Matt Van Epps, the works. It's a crowded field. After my last interview with Jody Barrett, I'm at home and I'm hanging out with the kids. I get this phone call, 615 number. I said, oh, all right, I'll answer, see who it is. Hey, Chris, it's Gino. So, hey, how are you? How did you get my number?
How'd you get my number?
I didn't ask that. I just kept it moving. I have no idea how I got my number. People talk. Smart Money says maybe somebody like Scott Sapicki.
Oh, that would be good.
But anyway, Gino calls me up. He says, hey, I'd love to be on the show. I said, okay, that's cool. You can come in. So the only condition is you got to take questions from the audience. My vote doesn't matter in this race. It's not my congressional district. My questions, as good as questions I can come up with, I can come up with great questions. And I got some bangers ready to go, loaded, ready to go. But I want you guys to ask the questions to Gino and determine for yourself whether he's the right fit for Mark Green's vacated congressional seat. So very excited to have Gino in here today. We're going to have a good conversation. He's going to spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour with us, and we'll get to as many questions of yours as we can. If you're watching us on Rumble or on YouTube, you can start dropping questions in the chat that you might have for Gino, and we'll keep track of them, and we'll keep a list going here internally. That way we can throw them his way when the time comes. All of that is coming. Right now, I do believe that we need to start with the murder of the Ukrainian refugee, Irina. She is top of the news this morning. Late last night, I don't know if you saw this, Kash Patel posting on Twitter, FBI Director Kash Patel, and throw the tweet up on the screen. He said, the FBI has been investigating the Charlotte train murder from day one. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Now, I wonder what you think about that, because if you're watching on the stream, you'll see a lot of questions in the comments on that one tweet. First comment's from Sarah Adams. She's been on the Sean Ryan podcast a bunch, counterintelligence expert. She said, you've also been investigating New Orleans attacks since January and have wrapped up 0 members of Jobber's cell on U.S. soil. A lot of people not exactly confident in the FBI director. Are you confident in the FBI director? 615-737-9986. I'm semi-confident. I'm riding the fence of confidence. Just be honest. So it's the riding the fence of confidence. Donald Trump commented on the murder last night. He commented on it yesterday a little bit, said he hadn't been fully briefed yet. Last night took to Truth Social. I've seen the horrific video of a beautiful young Ukrainian refugee who came to America to escape the vicious war in Ukraine and was innocently riding the metro in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she was brutally ambushed by a mentally deranged lunatic. The perpetrator was a well-known criminal who had been previously arrested and released on cashless bail in January, a total of 14 times. What the hell was he doing riding the train and walking the streets? Criminals like this need to be locked up. The blood of this innocent woman can literally be seen dripping from the killer's knife. And now her blood is on the hands of the Democrats who refuse to put bad people in jail, including former disgraced governor and wannabe Senator Roy Cooper. North Carolina and every state needs law and order, and only Republicans will deliver it. Additionally, where's the outrage from the mainstream media on this horrible tragedy? Vote for Michael Whatley, United States Senate. He won't let this happen again. Where is the outrage from the mainstream media? Well, the mainstream media has done a lot of reporting on this since we made it a story over the weekend on social media. Up until yesterday, the tally that we had gotten to on number of mainstream media stories talking about the murder of the Ukrainian refugee woman in Charlotte, North Carolina, was a total of 1. Yep, CBS, as of yesterday morning at the time of broadcast, was the only mainstream media news outlet to report on it. That's changed. This is now becoming the massive story it needs to be. But the reporting isn't exactly on the crime. No. Axios, they put out an article on this, Axios, and Axios blames surveillance cameras and MAGA influencers for the outrage. That's a little weird. That's a bit strange. Axios report on the video of Irina Zarutska's murder on a Charlotte, North Carolina light car rail blames MAGA influencers for seeking to elevate this issue of violent urban crime. What are we? So just look the other way. Was that what we were supposed to do? Look the other way. Apparently, the article called "Stabbing Video Fuels MAGA's Crime Message" points out that MAGA influencers are drawing repeated attention to violent attacks to elevate the issue of urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. We went through this yesterday. Bubba Wallace's fake news story. More media outrage. Jussie Smollett. This is MAGA country. More fake media outrage. Nicholas Sandmann. More media outrage. George Floyd. City's burned. Well, he was crying for his mama. No, it was his girlfriend saving his cell phone as mama, as he OD'd on fentanyl. Sorry. It's just the reality of the situation. He wasn't a good guy. Robbed a pregnant woman. At gunpoint. Oh, let's get him a golden casket. I mean, seriously. MAGA influencers are to blame for the outrage. Oh, whoa. How dare you highlight urban crime? That would go unreported if we didn't highlight it. If it wasn't for Elon Musk and the social media platform of X and free speech being restored on the internet, you may have never heard of this story at all. I can't believe they did this. It's not just Axios. There's been a lot of articles downplaying this, blaming MAGA influencers. MAGA influencers noted that from the New York Times to the AP, media outlets have covered George Floyd, Daniel Penny, and many other news items where the perceived villain was white and stayed far away from Zarutska's slaying. Zarutska was a young woman who had fled war-torn Ukraine for a peaceful life in America and met her end. It's such a dark story, and it's heartbreaking. And I got to ask the question, if parents can be held responsible for school shooters, can judges be held responsible when they release monsters onto the streets? I think it needs to be asked. I think it needs to be asked. I think they should be held accountable. CNN did the exact same thing last night, by the way. They were forced to cover Irina Zarutska. They were forced to cover her murder. And so they took it upon themselves to say that people talking about it online, well, they're doing it because they're racist. Got it.
Last month, it only gained national news attention here in the past couple of days. Why is that?
Right, most murders in the U.S. never become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video. Second, the energy from pro-Trump activists. They picked up on this video from local news and ran with it. It's a little bit like the times when civil rights groups have raised attention about police-involved shootings. In this case, it is Trump-aligned influencers who are posting up a storm about this case on social media. Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention, and it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
Oh, the cesspool kind of comments on social media. Oh, the open racism. Everybody's so racist for covering this story. We highlighted that the guy was let out 14 times. We highlighted that the judge had a conflict of interest and was releasing just monsters into her own rehab facility that she was the director of operations for. Was there a kickback there? That's a huge question. This monster had been released 14 times. 14. I don't care what color he is. He could be Asian. He could be Hindi. Yeah, I don't. Who cares? What are we doing? Yeah, this is a big symbol of big city, blue city crime. It is. When you can't ride the light rail without fear of being stabbed, yeah, that's exactly what we're highlighting. Yes, this is a symbol of big city crime. 100%. We're openly racist, though. You're openly racist. But the opposite's true. The opposite's true. They didn't want to cover this crime, much like they never want to cover black on white crime in this country. They never do. They never do. But there's a lot that we could go over. Will Kane broke it all down yesterday.
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth when it comes to crime. The story is about race. Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes, 385,000 in 2023. The white on black crimes, just under 118,000. You see the comparative numerical difference. But now, here's what the media actually does. They did what our camera operator just began to do a moment ago. I'm going to step out of the way. I'm going to show you literally what the media does with the camera. They zoom in on this number. This number, devoid of context. Now, what?
And he zooms in on the number of white on black crimes. Will Kane, huge stones for airing that on Fox News. But that is the story, whether you like it or not. 922, this is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Now, normally I would ask you if you're tired of back pain, neck pain, knee pain ruining your life, but I feel like that's kind of a silly question. Of course you are. But what are you doing to fix it? Well, I got a way for you to fix it that's not going to break the bank. It's the Wellness Institute of Nashville's Big Daddy Trump special. $12 is going to get you a full exam, x-rays if needed, and a well-explained diagnosis, plus your first treatment. Yeah, all of that, $12. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley aren't just going to look and see what's causing the pain. They're going to fix it, and they're going to fix it for good. Back pain, neck pain, sciatica, numbness, bulging discs, they'll treat it all. And they'll do it with non-surgical spinal decompression, robot lasers, even anti-gravity machines. What you're not going to find at the Wellness Institute is surgery, injections, painkillers, no opioids, just real solutions. Grab your MRI. Get ready to finally understand your condition and fix it. 615-246-5009. That's the phone number to call, 615-246-5009. I'm Chris Hand of the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Has my seal of approval on this deal that could change your life. Painisbad.com.
Some construction workers say their cars are not safe while they're on the job in Nashville. And new evidence that the pre-election economy wasn't as robust as Joe Biden had claimed. All of that and more coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Are you trying to tell me that Joe Biden wasn't telling us the truth?
Well, could be.
I don't want to believe it, Joan.
Yeah. Wait till you hear this.
I don't want to believe it. It's 9:28, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. You need a water filtration system or a water softener. You get those at betterwater.com. Sitting in studio with a couple of Turning Point USA representatives, Bailey Paxson and Mason Cottrell. What's up, guys? How we doing today?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you guys in here to have a long discussion on why we need to push conservative values in schools here in Tennessee. Because I was under the impression that we're a red state with a supermajority and we don't have anything to worry about. But that doesn't seem to be the case.
It's definitely not on high school campuses, that's for sure.
You were just telling me off the air of an issue at Rockville High School. They won't allow Riley Gaines to come speak to the students?
Yeah, they won't let us host her on campus.
Why?
From what I'm understanding, it seems that speakers that are coming to the campus, it's up to the principal's discretion. And the principal seems to think that Riley will cause a disturbance, or the event would cause some sort of disturbance to the school day, I guess.
Yeah, whenever I think of Riley Gaines, I think way too hardcore. And, it could get out of hand real fast. This is insane. You do think of Tennessee schools, though, and a lot of parents flee blue states to come here. Right. And then they think that they're going to get more conservative values pumped into their kids, but that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem that we see. It's interesting. The young generation are more conservative than we've ever been, right? And the schools don't necessarily reflect the beliefs of our students these days. And I think there's a catch-up that these school administrations have to play, where these young men and young women now are again, more conservative than they've been in the last 50 years. And it's the question of when are these administrations going to catch up to that and allow for those opportunities for them?
Or are these administrations secretly working behind the scenes to not allow that to push forward?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, these are questions that we got to ask. Those are the hard questions. But we're going to talk with Bailey and with Mason a bit more. It's actually really easy to start a Turning Point USA chapter in your kid's school, high school or college. So we'll give you guys the info on how to do that, and we'll have a longer conversation about conservative values in schools here in Tennessee. Are they as prevalent as we think they are? It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, Metro Nashville police investigating after dozens of car windows were smashed in a parking lot near Nissan Stadium. This construction worker telling Channel 4 the thieves were looking for guns.
It was just mainly like guns and money. Like they took one guy's pistol, and I guess they had so many guns that they dropped it in another guy's car and took his gun but dropped another pistol in his car. Just don't even make no sense, man.
Yeah, Metro Police say more than 600 guns have been stolen from vehicles in Nashville this year alone. New information about the bus stop attack in Jerusalem yesterday that led to the death of 6 people. ABC's Ian Pannell says good guys with guns are being hailed as heroes.
It was only thanks to the bravery and the rapid intervention of an off-duty Israeli soldier and other bystanders. A lot of people who serve in the military are supposed to carry their weapons even when they're not on duty in Israel. They intervened and they killed the 2 attackers.
Meantime, Israel says it has conducted a precise strike on Hamas leadership in Qatar this morning. There are new questions about the Biden administration's jobs claims. Just moments ago, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said U.S. employers added far fewer jobs in 2024 and early 2025 than previously thought. In fact, the U.S. economy added 911,000 fewer jobs over the 12 months ending in March. That revision is a routine step in the compilation of government labor statistics. Speaking about the numbers, President Trump commented that he believes the numbers were, in his words, phony, just like they were before the election. That's the latest news. We've got weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
President Trump making news again. The headlines, Chris. Donald Trump revokes the Secret Service from Kamala Harris. Ooh.
The unspoken part of this story is the hundreds of thousands of dollars we're going to save in therapists and PTSD counseling for the Secret Service agents that had to be on that detail with Kamala Harris. You know, we've heard the horror stories of Joe Biden swimming naked around his Secret Service agents, but I wonder how many times they've had to pick up a drunken Kamala Harris off the floor of a Wawa because she's on a Doritos run with Dougie. We don't need to pay for that, and she can afford her own security. I don't think this is much of a story.
I'm Pastor Alan Jackson, and I'm excited to invite you to join me for my brand new show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8, I'll be talking about the week's news and headlines, but through a biblical lens. Together, we'll look at what's happening in our world and how God's Word can guide us through it. Join me, Pastor Alan Jackson, Sunday evenings at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And you can listen on iHeartRadio and tune in.
All right, so anyway, Canada.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. But don't engage unless absolutely necessary.
Is that so? Don't take matters into your own hands? Bro, they're in my living room.
We urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive, and be the best witness possible.
Oh, be the best witness possible as your wife is being beaten by home invaders. You're being tied up. Just call Lee, chip in, and be a great witness. You know, Superman, and then, you got Bizarro. In Florida, they're like, we're going to shoot you stone cold dead. This is Bizarro, Florida. Is that what Ontario is?
It's close enough.
937 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or the FM dial. You can watch us, YouTube, Rumble, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. We appreciate it. In studio with a couple of reps from Turning Point USA. Maybe you've heard of them. Bailey Paxton, Mason Cottrell. What's up, guys? How are you?
Great. Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Give me an education process on what Turning Point USA is and what you guys do on high school and college campuses. Yeah. Let's start there, because I think a lot of people know what Turning Point is, but they think Charlie Kirk, and they think the campus visits and the Prove Me Wrongs. Yeah. But there's a lot more that goes into what you guys do on campuses than just that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Turning Point USA, our mission is to educate, empower, identify student activists, and then mobilize and organize them to be able to create a difference and a culture on their college and high school campuses. We're more known for our college presence, right? Talking about Charlie Kirk, he's the one who founded Turning Point, and he goes and does, his Prove Me Wrongs, things like that. And the high school side of things, we've actually rebranded our high school. So we're no longer calling our high school chapters Turning Point USA high school chapters. They're now Club America chapters. And that's to kind of differentiate ourselves from the mission that we do on the college campuses, right? Charlie Kirk's not going to come to a high school campus and, debate high school kids and try to go viral from that, right? It's more of educating, empowering, creating future leaders of this of America in these high school chapters, and really empowering them in their conservative beliefs, giving them a space to kind of preach and practice those beliefs.
Was that rebrand a little bit strategic to kind of circumvent the negative connotation that Turning Point USA brings up with more liberal members of school boards and administrations?
Yes, I think it allows for a little bit of a softer approach, right? And it allows us to say, well, we're not going to do these things that you see online. We're here for the students. We're here to empower them and really help us hopefully get into more public schools, get into more private schools where those administrators can see, oh, we are a Future Leaders Club. We are for people that love America, and we're not going to hopefully not going to put your school in a bad light, if you let us accomplish our mission, right?
We need voices like yours in these schools. And I mean, even here in Tennessee, private schools, you're seeing leftist indoctrination creep in, and that's points on the board for leftists. Right. So we need your voices now more than ever. But is it tougher now getting people to sign up when it seems like, things are good? We have conservatives back in office. We're fighting the good fight. Is it harder for you guys now to create new chapters and list new members as opposed to what it was pre-January of 2025?
I feel like it's a little bit of a mix of both. Students are becoming more comfortable with being vocal on these campuses because they are starting to become the majority again. But at the same time, it's still a little bit more difficult just because school administrations, those kids have to go to that school every day. It doesn't matter how often I'm on the campus. Those kids have to go to school every day. And so when they're voicing their opinions and their administrations are pushing back, they have to deal with that Monday through Friday from 8 to 3 p.m.
Yeah. And at the same time, the leftist ideas are gaining a lot of steam because they're fighting the power and they're the resistance now. Have you noticed that's making things more difficult for the conservative students on campuses around Tennessee?
Yeah, we're definitely getting a decent amount of pushback at some of our schools just with hosting speakers. They'll sometimes let us table, or they'll be very passive aggressive about things. They won't email us back, or they'll make things very difficult for us. Now we have to have opt-in forms to be able to come to the club meetings, or we have to go to 4 different teachers to get our club registered. And so it's different little things that they do just to make our lives so much harder.
And that's deliberate.
Yes.
That's 100% deliberate because they don't want you guys having the ideas of conservatism and loving America,
right,
bubbling at these schools.
Yeah, it goes against what they value, right? So,
how do you combat that?
Honestly, it's the students. One of my favorite things about this job is watching students go from just being scared to approach administrators, being scared to do things on campus, to feeling empowered to accomplish what they want to accomplish. So I'm currently a regional manager in the high school department, our Club America department. Before that, I was in our college department as a rep in Oklahoma, and I had a chapter, my Oklahoma State chapter, which I think is pretty comparable to Tennessee, right? Supermajority red state. Yep. We hosted an event, and the speaker, it was the state superintendent, he got yelled out of the room. And my students were discouraged. They didn't want to continue on. And then the next semester, they hosted Riley Gaines, one of the biggest Riley Gaines events ever on a college campus. No pushback from the school, no pushback from the students, and they totally, completely turned that 180. And that's what inspires me, is these students are the ones that are able to kind of put their foot down, and they feel empowered to kind of have that comeback story that we see. When you're talking to parents and even grandparents in some cases, and you're trying to talk about the leadership skills that you're going to give these students, because it's not just about conservative in America. You are giving them real life skills. Yeah. What do those skills look like when they join a Club America chapter, when they start, and what do those students look like when they're leaving and going to college?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of leadership and a lot of like public speaking. Every time, like I have 2 different speaker events this week, and like my students are the ones introducing the students. I'm not up there speaking. I'm back there for moral support. Those students are introducing the speakers. They're the ones communicating with their school, making sure that the room is reserved, and making sure they're the ones communicating with adults. And if they get pushback, that's where I step in, and that's when I help out. But it's all their communication. It's them recruiting students on their campus and being like, hey, this is what Club America is. Come see what it is. And it's a lot of learning how to debate. We had a like the Jubilee style, like surrounded debate at one of my chapters the other day. They're learning how to use their words and go through different debates and being like, oh, okay, I see your point, but this is my rebuttal for it. And they're just learning those life skills of, if I get pushback, I don't just give up. Like I make that 180 and I'm like, okay, well, here's why you should let me do this. And they fight for what they want.
I love that. And kids need that kind of stuff. And it's going to help them grow into good adults and good American citizens. And we need that. But if you guys aren't in those campuses, it's not going to be devoid of any political influence, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what fills the gap if there's no Turning Point chapter?
That's a great question. We don't want to be in a world where there isn't a Turning Point or Club America chapter. That's our goal, right? Is to get into every school and to find those conservative kids who are ready to make a difference and ready to stand up for those beliefs.
So if I'm a mom or a dad, I'm listening to this, I'm a grandparent, and I'm like, we need one of these. We don't have a Turning Point chapter. We don't have Club America at my kid's school. How do you go about starting one?
It's super easy. It only takes 3 kids. 3 in total, and then from there we can get you what we call chartered, and then from there then I work with the students to get them registered on their campus as a club, get them RSO status. We'll send them free activism kits, get them free pizza orders for their 2 pizza orders per semester for all of their chapter meetings and stuff like that. We provide them with all the resources. It's super easy, and they get their own personal field rep, like if they need any help.
And you're really creating a community here.
Yes.
And you're creating bonds that are going to last past high school for a lot of these kids.
Yeah.
Correct. I think a lot of high schoolers, I think we have an epidemic of loneliness in this country, especially with our youth and our young people. And to be able to have a group that believes what you believe might differ in some things, and you learn how to challenge those beliefs, and you're then more deeply rooted in those beliefs afterwards. And then you create friends for life, and it kind of cures that epidemic of loneliness. We're scared to have friends with people that might disagree with us. So let's create an environment where we're able to create a social club for these students to have friends for life. And I think that's just a super important thing.
What are some issues that you see at these chapter meetings that high school kids are talking about? Like what are the big news stories of the day that our young people are caring more about that might surprise us a little bit?
I would say definitely something that I did not talk about a lot when I was in high school was the pro-life, pro-choice movement. That's especially in girls that has become very, very big. Riley Gaines' whole story and just transgenderism in sports and in women's spaces has become such a major topic across these high school campuses, especially the MAHA movement, like Making America Healthy Again. They don't want this bad food that's going into them. And stuff like that. Like we all joke like, oh, I want my red 40, but like they're starting to realize like how bad all this stuff that's getting pumped into them is.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, as somebody who needs to endorse the Maha movement a little more in my personal life, it's kind of cool to see these young people kind of embrace that. You know, I thought initially when RFK Jr. was running on that, I thought, I don't know how much that's going to stick, especially in my capacity with these young kids. And they have really taken that on as like a challenge, and it's definitely cool to see that they're wanting to change.
Yeah. You can even see it in the way that high schoolers like exercise now. Like, I feel like it was pulling teeth in high school to get my friends to play sports or do anything. And now, like, hot girl walks has become a trend. And, like,
What's a hot girl walk?
It's literally just when you go on walks. Like, it's just getting steps in has become, like, a big thing. And, like, all these, like, trends that are kind of going on social media, but they're finally, like, healthy trends of working out and exercising, being outdoors. Like, those types of things are finally, like, taking off.
And what does the alternative look like if a kid isn't falling in line with those kind of trends and they're not joining Club America? What does the youth look like without your influence?
That's a great question. I think it's a combination of a few things, right? So I think a lot of kids now are more conservative and they're also more Christian. We kind of talked about this off radio. And, you know, I see those kids as they're kind of thriving and finally I think we've had this slog with after the pandemic, right? Of loneliness, things like that. These kids are rising above that. Without that, and without these, you know, young people embracing those two ideals, I think it's still loneliness. I think it's still compensating. I think it's a loss of their identity, right? We've seen that with the transgender movement. And it's okay that you're the way that you are. You can just stay that way. I think kids are tired of that. And I think that they see the outcome of that as sad, you know, people in their grades and things like that. And so they're really rising up to make that difference and be better.
I think you nailed it on the head. And I think kids want an adult in their life that will look at them and say, you're great, but you can be so much better than you are right now.
Right. And we haven't had that for 5-6 years at least. Right.
It's amazing. And I think that the values that you pump into these kids is fantastic. And then on top of the leadership skills and, you know, the friendships and all that they're making, you guys have a lot of fun too. I know America.
So much fun.
I know America Fest is coming up, and then you'll take these students and then you'll fly them to Phoenix, Arizona,
Absolutely,
where then they can hear from the biggest speakers in the conservative movement.
Right. Yeah. So every December, this year it's December 18th through 21st. But yeah, it's AmFest. It's the big deal. It's our big conference. Last year, Trump spoke, and students get student seating. So students have front row seats to most of our speakers. And then there's also a student lounge, a student experience lounge, where it's literally they're just hanging out with other students, doing fun things. We have mechanical bull rides. We have a dance floor. Free T-shirt giveaways, like we make
exclusive meet and greets.
Yeah, exclusive meet and greets, make it an experience.
And when I was doing stuff with you guys, I remember your student experience room would be so cool that we would hijack it one evening, and we would use it as the VIP room for like all of the biggest influencers. Like that's how great of a job you guys do.
Influencer reception always is in our student
100%.
lounge. It's so, like, AmFest, all of our conferences are amazing, but America Fest is always one that sticks out. It's just so big, and the production is something you could never imagine. Like, you cannot go to any other convention, especially political, which is usually such a boring topic.
I mean, I saw the RNC this year, and as I'm watching the RNC, I'm like, oh, this is definitely a turning point inspired production at this point. So you get these kids in school, you equip them with real life skills, you teach them how to be great Americans, you teach them the greatness of America, you connect them with friends in their local communities, then you fly them out, you connect them with kids nationally, so like they're growing their network there as well. Why wouldn't anybody want to be a part of this?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing we can't figure out.
It's definitely such a great opportunity for these kids. We even have a summer conference. It's called Chapter Leadership Summit. And these kids get flown out for free to come and get hands-on training from, you know, Charlie Kirk is there. He speaks. He has a breakfast where he meets a select group of students.
Brett Cooper was there this year.
Yeah, Brett Cooper spoke. Anna Paulina Luna spoke. And it's all just hands-on training on how to have a good chapter at your high school or college. And they take it and they run with it, and then we see a huge difference in the movement.
We're talking with Bailey Paxson and Mason Cottrell. All right, guys, one more time. If you're an adult out there or a grandparent, you got a kid in school, high school here in Tennessee, how can we start a chapter?
Yeah, I think the first step would be to reach out to Bailey, and she can get you started. But really, you just need you plus two. So the 3 high school students in the same high school, either homeschool, private, or public school, and you can get a chapter started.
Is there a website?
Clubamerica.com.
Clubamerica.com. Get yourself a Club America chapter at your high school. The benefits will feel for generations.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate you guys coming by.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate you
much.
guys doing what you do for our high school students here in Tennessee. It is undersold how much of a difference you guys are making, and I appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. 952 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here, and I got to tell you about my friends over at Cabinet Makeovers. I just got these brand new pull-out cabinets installed in my home, and I got to tell you, they're amazing. And as much as I love them, I can assure you my wife loves them even more. Let me tell you about Cabinet Makeovers, family-owned company serving Middle Tennessee for over 45 years. Everything they do is Tennessee-made. Every cabinet, pull-out, and drawer, all wood construction, full extension, soft close, glides, craftsmanship is top-notch. But the company, even better. Dan, the owner, came and he was surveying the project, and he's looking at stuff, and my kids always have questions. So, Mr. Dan, can we turn the screwdriver? He's like, absolutely, turn the screwdriver. Mr. Dan, what are you doing there? And he explains it. And then Dan even sat down and talked to the kids about Jesus. This is what you're getting with a company like Cabinet Makeovers. That's what makes them special. It's not just the cabinets, the pantries, and all that, which are fantastic. It's that Tennessee touch. It's unbelievable. If you need cabinets, call Cabinet Makeovers. But they don't just stop at kitchens. Cabinet Makeovers also designs custom closets, pantries, cabinetry for every room in your house, all built with that same Tennessee pride and biblical values that guide their business. 615-331-7010. That's the number to call Dan and Cabinet Makeovers. 615-331-7010, or find them online, cabinetmakeoverstn.com.
Did you see this? This guy is from India. He makes a rogue illegal U-turn and an SUV slams into the back of his truck, killing 3 people inside. The highways are littered with illegal alien truck drivers killing people. How did they get their licenses?
Well, he's in California. We are working with the federal government to extradite him back to Florida. He will face incredibly severe charges here, and then he will be deported. But I will tell you that where was the role of the company in all of this? I don't think this guy spoke English. He clearly didn't know what he was doing behind the wheel. And yes, you shouldn't be giving illegals driver's license. We don't allow that in Florida. California does. They've issued probably over 1 million licenses to illegals in recent years.
Democrats always say, if we could just save one life. Imagine how many lives we could save if we required all of the truck drivers out there to speak English and be citizens of America.
So Trump announced today he's federalizing D.C. police to put an end to violent crime in Washington, D.C. Naturally, leftists are losing their mind and completely unhinged.
We believe there is a better way to protect us all. One that respects rights to build trust and keep our communities truly safe, and that is fascism-free.
Free of what?
That is fascism-free.
Fascism-free? Fascism-free. Okay, hang on one second. Hey, Brooks, come here. F-A-S-C-I-S-M.
Fascism?
Correct, fascism. I didn't mean to turn this into an ad for homeschooling versus public schooling, yet here we are.
Maybe she should have proofread that.
I'll humbly submit, but boldly proclaim I'm going to run to be governor of the state of Tennessee. I start an application process now with 7 million people. Ask them to hire me and lay out my resume and what I have done, not just in civilian work and military work, but what I've done in the legislature. Not running against anybody. I'm running against what I think is an embedded establishment politic in Nashville that rather thinks that people like me shouldn't even apply for jobs like this. I think there's a great thirst for liberty in Tennessee, and I think there's a great distaste for a government that's growing out of control, a budget that is growing out of control, 59% in the last 6 years. That's not small government. 2 Kings 13 talks about striking the ground with your arrows. I will put my foot many times in each county in the state of Tennessee, and I will empty my quiver into the ground for liberty and less government in Tennessee, because I think we desire for that.
Israel strikes Hamas hard, but not where everyone was expecting. And the nation's schools are getting some failing grades. We've got that and more coming up here at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Joan Jones in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Thanks again to my friends from Turning Point USA for coming in, telling you how you can start a Club America chapter in your high school or college. If you need more info, clubamerica.com. I got a bunch of texts, people asking about that. In studio right now, none other than Gino Bulso is here. What's up, Gino?
Not too much, Chris. How about with you?
We're doing good. I got to get you headphones that fit a little bit better than that.
That'd be fine.
Well, we're excited to have you in. We got another edition of Come At Me, Bruh, coming down the line.
Sure.
Are you familiar with the terms of Come At Me, Bruh?
I am indeed.
All right, perfect. So Gino's more than willing to take your questions. 615-737-9986. He's running for Mark Green's vacated congressional seat. He was one of the 4 on the debate stage just a few nights ago. We'll talk to Gino about that debate. We'll talk to him about what he would do as your congressional rep, and we'll take your questions as well. It's 615-737-9986. All that and more on the way right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good deal.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And right now we're at 67 degrees. We're headed up to 86. Stick around for the forecast right after the news. Israel warned anyone living in Gaza City to clear out this morning as it prepared to move its military into the city in what it called an aggressive action against Hamas. Instead, ABC's Ian Pannell tells us that Israel launched an attack on Doha, the capital of Qatar.
It is also where the Hamas leadership has been based for many years now. We also know that it's where the negotiating teams have been based. The U.S. negotiating teams, when they've been talking to Hamas, have also traveled to Qatar, as well as the Israeli teams who've used the U.S. as a go-between.
The Qatari government has condemned what it called a cowardly attack targeting Hamas's headquarters. Far fewer jobs were created during the last 12 months of the Biden administration. Fox Business reporter Edward Lawrence says, in fact, 911,000 fewer jobs were created, and the economy may be on shakier footing than everyone realized.
Analysts leading up to this, some market experts are saying that if this number was close to 1 million jobs, which it was, then that means the job market had already stalled repealed at the end of the Biden administration before President Trump even took office.
The revisions also bring added heat to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which has been under fire from the White House for its data collection methods and results. New evidence that the nation's schools are still in a lot of trouble.
The nation's report card measures academic achievement in 12th and 8th graders, and the numbers show a continued decline. In reading, 32% of high school seniors scored below basic, meaning they could not find details in text to help them understand meaning. The average reading score is the lowest since this assessment began in 1992. In math, just 33% of high school seniors were considered academically prepared for college-level math. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Police in Warren County say they've nabbed one of the largest suppliers of methamphetamines to that area. 38-year-old Robert Russell of Smyrna, arrested last weekend. He's already served time for drugs. He's now charged with felony possession of meth with intent to deliver it. Detectives say they learned Russell had been transporting about 2 to 3 pounds of meth into Warren County multiple times a week for over a year. Blood donors have a shot at some Titans memorabilia today. There's an American Red Cross blood drive happening at Nissan Stadium. Starts around noon today.
The nonprofit says that donations usually take about an hour. Donors will have the chance to win a helmet autographed by a rookie quarterback. You know him, Cam Ward.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. Blood donations happening noon to 6 o'clock this evening. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Jody Barrett is running for the recently vacated congressional seat of Mark Green. What's up, Jody?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Let's play a little word association.
All right, let's go.
Bobby Kennedy.
Good guy.
Operation Warp Speed.
Not so much.
Fluoride in the drinking water.
Get it out of here.
Geoengineering or chemtrails?
Absolutely real.
Absolutely real. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's a real thing. We have documentation to prove that.
What are you going to do about it?
Well, we're trying at the state level. I think, the eyes are being opened. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene earlier. She's putting legislation forth on this at the federal level. I think ultimately all this has to end up in the president's desk and him understand what's really going on and buy into it. Just like we saw in TVA in the Cheatham County fight. Once he gets involved, things happen. And so I think that's where you really are lobbying a party of one there to try to get the president to understand how big a deal this is.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Mason, why would we need a water filter system?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
It's a reason. Betterwater.com. So we got Gino Bulso in studio, state representative. He's running for Mark Green's congressional seat. And I kind of do that to just gauge where you're at. Are you ready for the Chris Hand Show? And when you laughed and smiled, I think you're ready.
I'm ready to go, Chris.
All right, perfect. I don't know if you've listened to the show or whatnot. So we like to have a little fun.
Yeah, no, I listen to you from time to time whenever I get the chance.
All right, perfect. Show starts at 9. Gino Bulso is in here. Why are you running for Congress?
I'm running for Congress, Chris, principally to give the people the type of government that our founders intended. We have a federal government that has just grown too large. It taxes too much. It spends too much. It's now, created this $37.2 trillion deficit that we have to hand on to our kids and grandkids. And it's time to reverse that. It's time to get back to reducing the size of federal government, reducing taxes, and reducing spending.
You're in a crowded field right now. We were talking off the air. It's essentially a 3-way tie at the top with the fourth guy just really edging right up. Everybody's kind of echoing the same thing about federal spending. What sets you apart from the other contenders in the field?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think effectiveness. I think experience and consistency. Dealing with effectiveness. I'm somebody who's been in the state legislature now for just over 3 years, and I passed almost 24 bills on many significant issues. We passed the Baby Olivia Act that put a video regarding fetal development from conception through birth in all of our middle and high schools across the state as part of any family life curriculum. We passed the Lake and Riley Act that allows young ladies on campus to carry non-lethal weapons so they can protect themselves. We've also obviously passed numerous bills that keep biological boys out of girls' athletics and girls' locker rooms. And I've passed a bill in the 113th General Assembly that redefined the term illegal alien just to make sure that taxpayer-funded benefits do not flow to illegal aliens here in Tennessee. And earlier this year, I introduced the Trump Act that was going to further protect Tennessee residents against unlawful migration, but we didn't quite get that one across the finish line yet. So it's really just that record of accomplishment and effectiveness, I think, that sets me apart.
What are you most proud of from your time in the Tennessee State Legislature?
I'd say probably that Baby Olivia Act, because I think protecting innocent unborn human life is one of our highest callings, and that requires changing hearts and minds. And when we can actually get scientific, accurate data in the hands of our middle schoolers and high schoolers that show that life does begin at conception and that it's important to protect life at every point between conception and natural death, that is something that would only enhance the family, enhance our society. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
I think that's a good thing to be proud of. I think that a lot of people that are pro-choice, they've never seen what an abortion looks like. They've never seen what you're putting in our schools, life beginning at conception. And I think that that's a game changer, especially for young people.
Absolutely.
You gotta get to them before the left does. You have to beat the left there. There's going to be an ideology of some sort in there.
Oh,
so it needs to be conservative.
Yeah, it does. And one of the worst things that ever happened to our society is that back in 1963, we had the case of Ingal versus Vitale from the U.S. Supreme Court that took prayer out of schools. And when we threw God out, Satan walked right in the form of secular humanism, so much so that now we have to fight our own school districts about things like having pride flags or Black Lives Matter flags in the classrooms. We have to fight about they're putting biological boys in girls-only sex education classes. We have to fight about getting obscene books out of the schools so that everything is age-appropriate. So making sure that we get to grade schoolers, middle schoolers, and high schoolers with an authentic message that reflects our values, especially our Tennessee values, is critically important.
Amen. One of the things President Trump did yesterday was get that right to pray back in public schools. There's a lot of talk online that you're opening the door there, though, for the Islamification of America, and that you're opening the door for that type of prayer in schools as well. How do you feel about the current state of the Islamification of America when you're seeing, they pulled back, but Dearborn Heights having Arabic on their police patch in Michigan. You have what essentially looks like Sharia no-go zones in Minneapolis and in Houston, Texas. What do you think when you see that happening in our country, and what would you do about it?
Well, I think anything we do has to be consistent with the Constitution, but I think everyone who actually studies the founding of our country understands that we were founded on Christian principles. That is certainly something that you see in the Declaration of Independence, where Thomas Jefferson talks about our rights coming from a creator. And then obviously that carries through with George Washington's farewell address in September of 1796, where he talks about religion and morality being the two cornerstones, two indispensable supports of our political prosperity. And then you look at Alexis de Tocqueville's work, Democracy in America, that he published in 1835 after having visited Nashville and other parts of the country in 1831 and 32, where he says explicitly that Christian values are what inform American democracy and that we can never lose our Christian identity.
So we are a Christian nation.
We are indeed.
Amen. Gino Bolso is in studio, 615-737-9986 if you have a question for him. He wants to run for Mark Green. He is running for Mark Green's vacated congressional seat. He wants to represent you. What are you going to do when you get to Congress? Let's game plan this out. You win. What does it look like? What's the first kind of bills that you're bringing to Congress?
The first bill I'd want to file is one to balance the budget. And this is something that I've had a chance to talk to Speaker Johnson about on a couple of occasions. And I think there certainly is a recognition now in Congress, now that we have passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, and we have made permanent that Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, it's time to work on the spending side, because obviously we're dealing still with a deficit of $1.5 trillion. And so I think what we need to do is to look back to the 90s when Newt Gingrich passed 4 consecutive balanced budgets and take a lesson from what was the discipline that we had back in the 1990s and get Congress collectively, after the people get behind it, and start freezing federal spending and then reducing it as time goes on.
You mentioned the 1990s, and it's like that's not very long ago at all. How did this government get so out of control so quickly?
I think it was a combination of things. You know, one, we had the Gulf War, obviously in the 1990s, that contributed some to the debt. Then we had 9/11, and we had the Iraqi War and the war in Afghanistan, which contributed some to the debt. Then we had the Great Recession, where the federal government basically just lost its mind during the Obama administration and started doling out and bailing out all kinds of companies at the rate of hundreds of $millions at a time. And then, unfortunately, we went through COVID and obviously had a spike in the national debt then. And then with the Biden-Harris administration, there simply were no guardrails regarding spending. So we took a deficit that was already bad. It was $10 trillion in 2000, and now we've taken it over $37 trillion, and it's on its way to 41 very quickly.
Yeah, we have definitely lost our way. 615-737-9986 if you have a question for Gino Bulso, who is running for the 7th Congressional District of Tennessee. I have a question for you. So with the Charlotte light rail murder of Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee, heartbreaking. Should judges be held responsible for releasing these violent monsters back onto our streets the same way that parents should be held responsible when a school shooting happens?
Absolutely. But the question becomes, what form does that responsibility take? And we need to protect the public. And if we have judges who are just letting criminals out of jail at the risk of harm to the public, then they need to be removed. Absolutely.
Would you support legislation removing them and punishing them?
Well, I think we already have laws on the books that deal with the circumstances under which you can impeach either a state or a federal judge. It's just a question, Chris, of actually enforcing those laws.
When somebody loses their life, though, is it just losing their job enough? I mean, this guy in Charlotte was released 14 times, and there's questionable ties between the judge and this mental health facility that she was the director of operations to, that he was being released to. In a situation like that, wouldn't you say some more punishment is warranted?
Well, I'd have to look more at the facts of the case, and obviously losing Irina's life at such a tender age is just unimaginable. It's just indescribable. But when you're talking about holding a judge criminally liable for rulings that the judge makes, that's something that we'd want to take a long, hard look at.
Okay. We're in studio with Gino Bolso. If you got a question for him, 615-737-9986. Amy, you're up first with Gino. How are you, Amy?
I'm great. How are you guys?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome.
What's your question for Gino?
My question is this. I know that in April of 2024, the state of Tennessee banned geoengineering. And I am wondering if the chemtrails and cloud seeding that we're continuing to see on a daily basis here in Tennessee, does our government not consider that geoengineering?
Good question. Amy, thank you for the call. Geoengineering, it was banned in Tennessee a couple years back. What's your thoughts on it?
I remember when that bill passed, and the question would be if there's some type of violation going on, it would be something that would have to be investigated and dealt with. I mean, sometimes you can see different types of residue in the sky that might be different from the type of chemtrails that were the subject of that legislation. So it would just be a question, Amy, of exactly what you're looking at, when and where it occurred, and then having an investigation to see whether it's some weather-related event or whether it's something that was government-initiated.
On the topic of geoengineering, though, you do believe that it's a real thing happening.
Geoengineering?
Yeah.
It's something that I'd want to take a look at, Chris.
Weather modification?
Weather modification, yeah. That's not an area that I profess to have any amount of expertise, and so I have to rely on research that's been done by others to decide how to address those issues in the legislature.
Okay. 615-737-9986 if you want to talk to Gino Bolso, if you have a question for him. What's a conspiracy theory you believe in?
Gosh. I'm not sure that I could tell you a conspiracy theory that I believe in.
You don't have one? There's not one conspiracy theory that you believe in?
I'd say that if you go back to the murder of JFK in November of 1963, the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone would be something that I would be skeptical of.
Okay.
For sure. But in general, I tend not to be a conspiracy theorist.
No? Why not?
Well, I guess because I'm a trial lawyer by nature, and we require proof and evidence to establish things. And you can have theories, but until you actually can demonstrate through proof that something is true, I tend to be skeptical of the conclusion.
Okay. 615-737-9986 if you got a question for Gino Bolso. He is more than happy to take all your questions. We'll be back more with Gino in a moment. It's 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Great.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here from my friends at Cover Nash, and you got to talk to Shane Ring, especially if you've fallen for one of the biggest myths in health insurance that you have to wait for open enrollment. That's wrong. That's just what the big guys want you to believe. With Cover Nash, you can get covered right now with no waiting and no gimmicks. If you missed open enrollment, they got you covered. You lost your job coverage, they got you covered. You're just sick of overpriced junk insurance? Well, you're in the right place. Cover Nash can help you with that. Cover Nash is partnering with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO options with deductibles as low as $250. Flat $50 doctor visits, even for specialists. ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care, physicals, colonoscopies, the works. Plans for individuals, families, self-employed, even small businesses. Time to stop overpaying. Time to stop waiting. Time to stop thinking you're stuck. Call Cover Nash today. Shane Ring is going to take care of you. 615-465-0023. That's 615-465-0023. It's time for you to get health insurance on your terms, not the government's. CoverNash.com. J.D. Vance descended upon Union Station in Washington, D.C. today, and he was met with some unhinged leftist protesters.
You big f***ing Nazi!
In housing! In climate justice!
Now, there's a couple ways that you can deal with radical leftist lunatics. But I want to highlight the method that JD chose today. This method is, of course, the all-encompassing point and laugh.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Like and subscribe for more tips on how to deal with unhinged leftist lunatics out in the wild. This has been brought to you by our friends at Zero Res Nashville. If you need your carpets cleaned, go to ZeroResNashville.com.
Some construction workers say their cars aren't safe while they're on the job, and proof that all the negative media talk isn't getting under the skin of the nation's business owners. That and more coming up here at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. It's 10:23, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're in studio with Gino Bulso. What's up, Gino?
Oh, not too much, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. You're making your case to be the congressional representative for the 7th District of Tennessee. What's your elevator pitch?
My elevator pitch is that, we need to have a government that recognizes that the family is the basis of our civilization and our nation. And we need to have a government that actually makes it possible for families to thrive. And that starts with maintaining a cost of living that is affordable, which is not where we are right now, unfortunately, in part because we have a government that taxes too much, it spends too much, and it takes 30, 35, 40% of a family's wages, which I think is just criminal. I think a government should be able to function on 10% of anyone's wages at most. And so part of what I hope to do is to be able to shrink the size of government, working with the others in Congress and getting the public behind us so that we reduce taxing, we reduce spending, and we thereby reduce the cost of living so that we can get back to the America that our parents knew, where you could actually support a family on one income and you could raise kids in a way that is conducive to having an environment that is nurturing and loving and gets them all the way to adulthood to make good adults.
Gino's willing to take any of your questions, 615-737-9986. I have a text here from 4460 saying, is he taking any money from AIPAC? Are you going to work for your constituents or lobbyists?
Well, we have taken no money from any PAC, AIPAC or anyone else. All of the contributions that we have received are from individual donors. And at last count, Chris, I think we had 535 individual donors to our campaign.
535 individual donors?
Yes.
How much money have you raised so far?
Well, it's probably somewhere in the range of $500,000.
Okay. Is that enough to run a campaign in Tennessee for the congressional district in this day and age?
I hope so.
You hope so? You're like, otherwise we're going to rein in spending at home.
I think it is.
James in Nashville has a question for you. What's up, James? Yo, James, what's up, man? James, is he mowing the lawn? The weed-eating Mason. What you just talked to him?
I just talked to him. He might be listening or was listening to the radio, and now he's only listening.
All right, well, I'm going to put James back on hold.
I'll check with him.
615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. What would you do to reduce the deficit? Give specifics. This is from one of our friends who texts in from time to time as a pastor.
Okay, well, I think you have to start with the recognition that we are not a socialist country. And so we need to reduce that $1 trillion or so a year that we have in social welfare programs at the federal level. I was able to obtain from the staff of the House Ways and Means Committee a diagram that actually shows 100 I believe, 5 different federal programs that are administered by 13 of our 16 cabinet-level departments that cost the taxpayers $1 trillion a year. So the first thing that we need to do is structurally start reducing the size of the government, as President Trump has already done with the Department of Education, but also to reduce the entitlements, the social programs that are administered at the federal level, so that we can get back to a limited size of government that our founders intended, and let states decide how much of a social welfare net that they want to cast. In Tennessee, obviously, we're a conservative state, so we are a low-tax state, and we are not the kind of a state that would really be involved in that type of socialist engineering. California, of course, would take a different approach. But what we need to do is to get the socialism out of the federal government, Chris, get the U.S. government down to the size that it really needs to be, and then let states do what they want to do, and people can decide where they want to live. Now, I think we're going to be getting a lot more people in Tennessee than California, but let people decide where they want to live.
Is that realistic? Like how realistic is it to get into Congress and do what you want to do?
It is realistic, because what's the alternative? The alternative is bankruptcy for the country. Because when you look at our federal budget right now, 80% of federal revenue is spent on mandatory spending. That's approximately 66% on entitlement programs and 14% on interest on the national debt, which I think, as I mentioned, is by itself already $1 trillion. And so the Congress only really deliberates over 20% of federal revenue, the discretionary part of the budget. Our debt is now over 125% of our GDP. And so we need to reverse that trend. And if it's not realistic, Chris, I'm afraid there's no hope for the country economically, because our kids and grandkids are going to be facing a situation where just the entitlement programs and the interest will subsume more than 100% of the budget, which is bankruptcy.
Yeah, no, you're right. Ken in Nashville on income tax. What's up, Ken? You're on with Gino.
Thank you very much for taking my call, first of all. And what your potential congressman has to say, I think, is all good. However, we know that politicians, once they get there, they make a career out of running for politics, or running for office. And one of the things I'd like to see is elimination of retirement funds for elected officials, because that would discourage them from making a career out of, and the perks, and also the lobbyists. But my question is, would we favor getting rid of the income tax, the full Marxist income tax, because it is unconstitutional? It's a direct tax, as are property taxes. Would you favor that? Would you favor discouraging people making a career for running for Congress, and only maybe run for not more than 2 terms for Congress and just 1 term for the Senate, or something similar to that? And of course, I think the other thing that really bothers a lot of people is the fact that, you know, all the buzzwords are there, and you hear a lot of good things, but when it comes down to reality, they start as we have one party with 2 names, they start doing self-serving interests, and that's what they're mostly concerned with. So that's got to end very quickly. I call them political parasites instead of statesmen. We need statesmen, so we don't need political parasites. So my question is, would you favor those things I mentioned? Thank you very much. Have a very blessed day.
You ready to get rid of the income tax?
Well, Ken raises a lot of good points. Let me discuss each one of them. Let me get to the income tax last, because I think the others are probably even a little more critical. I mean, Ken raises a very good point that one of the problems that we've got with our federal government is structural. We have too much dark money in the process. We've got politicians that make a career out of being in office, which was never the way our founders intended this country to operate. And so I think in order to get politicians to stay focused on what's in the public welfare, we need to have term limits. And I think, perhaps 12 years in the House, 12 years in the Senate would be sufficient. But I think that is something that we, at this point in our history, need to implement. That would obviously require amending the Constitution. But also, in connection with that, we need to amend the Constitution, because Citizens United effectively gave a First Amendment right to corporations and PACs to spend whatever they want, giving money in support of politicians to affect the political process, which has completely, unfortunately, distorted the priorities that our elected officials ought to have.
Yeah, you think some of those elected officials need NASCAR jackets with their sponsors.
Absolutely. And so I think Ken raises a good point, both on that money and on the term limits. With regard to the income tax, I'm not in favor of repealing the 16th Amendment, but I would be in favor of reducing that tax to a flat 10% across the board, because I think it's, as I mentioned before, just criminal that we find it has become normalized to take 35 or 40% of a family's wages. That simply makes it impossible for families to meet the cost of living, and it has the same impact on small businesses. So reduce income tax to 10%, absolutely.
All right, Gino Bulso is in studio with us. He's running for Mark Green's vacated congressional seat, and he's willing to take your questions. 615-737-9986. More of your calls when we return. It's 1031 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Nashville police investigating after dozens of car windows were smashed in a parking lot near Nissan Stadium. This construction worker telling Channel 4 the thieves were looking for guns.
It was just mainly like guns and money. Like they took one guy's pistol, and I guess they had so many guns that they dropped it in another guy's car and took his gun but dropped another pistol in his car. Just don't even make no sense, man.
7 guns were stolen yesterday. Metro Police saying more than 600 have been stolen from vehicles in Nashville this year alone. New information about the bus stop attack in Jerusalem yesterday that led to the death of 6 people. ABC's Ian Pannell says the good guys with guns are being hailed as heroes.
It was only thanks to the bravery and the rapid intervention of an off-duty Israeli soldier and other bystanders. A lot of people who serve in the military are supposed to carry their weapons even when they're not on duty in Israel. They intervened and they killed the 2 attackers.
Meantime, Israel's military targeted senior Hamas leadership in Qatar with an airstrike today. Despite the media pounding on tariffs, small business owners are staying optimistic.
The National Federation of Independent Business has been gauging the sentiment of its members since 1973, and its Small Business Optimism Index rose half a point last month. It's above its 52-year average. The survey found improvement in overall business health, but nagging concern about labor quality.
ABC's Jim Ryan. That is the latest news. We've got your weather up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Switch to Straight Talk Wireless and get real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network. Straight Talk, available at straighttalk.com or Walmart.
1035 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here. Gino Bolso in studio running for Congress. We're getting some spicy texts, Gino. I'm gonna read them to you when we get back. Right now, I got to tell you about my friends at United Structural Systems, USS. Have you been ignoring the water coming into your basement and crawl space? You can tell me. I understand. We all do it. We pretend that we don't see these small problems. We pretend that it's nothing there. And then sure, it'll dry up, right? The warm weather comes back and the water in the basement, the water in the crawl space goes away. But every time that rain comes back, so does that problem. And you know what happens every single time? It's getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And that drip is going to turn into a waterfall. Don't let it happen. Call the best. Call USS. They've helped 30,000 homeowners across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky with issues just like this. And they're not going to send a sales guy. They're not going to send somebody worried about their quota. They're sending somebody worried about your crawl space, your basement, your waterproofing needs. Whether it's foundation repair or waterproofing, USS is going to stand behind their work with warranties that you can trust. This is how they've stayed locally owned and in the game for 30 years. If you see the signs, don't wait. Call United Structural Systems, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, keeping homes dry and stable, USSTN.com.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
J.D. Vance descended upon Union Station in Washington, D.C. today, and he was met with some unhinged leftist protesters.
You big fucking Nazi!
In housing! In climate justice!
Now, there's a couple ways that you can deal with radical leftist lunatics, but I want to highlight the method that J.D. chose today. This method is, of course, the all-encompassing point and laugh.
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Like and subscribe for more tips on how to deal with unhinged leftist lunatics out in the wild. This has been brought to you by our friends at Zero Res Nashville. If you need your carpets cleaned, go to ZeroResNashville.com. It's 10:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to us anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch us, Rumble, YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. In studio now with State Representative Gino Bulso, who wants to be your congressional representative for the 7th District of Tennessee, Mark Green's vacated seat. Gino, how are you?
Doing fine, Chris. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, we're having a good time. Gino's willing to answer any of your questions for this edition of Come At Me, Bro. 615-737-9986 if you have a question for Gino. Let's run through some of the ones on the text line real quick. What's your position on gun control?
My position on gun control is that it violates the Second Amendment.
Completely.
What? There's a nuance to that, of course. You know, we've got a very recent decision from Justice Clarence Thomas in the New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin case from June the 22nd of 2022, which makes it clear that the only gun control restrictions that are permissible under the Second Amendment are those that existed at the time that the amendment was adopted on December 15th of 1791, because the Second Amendment did not create a right to keep and bear arms. It simply codified what was already an existing God-given right, you might say it. That's why it reads, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And so with regard to gun control, if you have a regulation that is consistent with the nation's history of arms control regulation, then yes, it's permissible under the Second Amendment, otherwise not.
So how far would you go with it? Automatic firearms, are you cool?
Automatic firearms have been historically regulated under the National Firearms Act from the 1930s. So that particular statute, I think, would be held to be constitutional.
You think so?
I believe it would be, absolutely.
What about magazine restrictions?
I think those are unconstitutional.
Bump stocks?
Also unconstitutional.
Okay. Gino Bolso's in studio. If you got a question for him, 615-737-9986. Got a text here from 3180. I've heard so many politicians say the exact same thing about cutting spending, reducing the size of government, and then get elected and nothing ever changes. What makes Gino different?
Well, that's a good question. I think voters have a right to be skeptical, given that we have been through decade after decade where we had nothing but piling on to the national debt. And I'd say it's not so much what makes me different, Chris, as what makes the American people different. Because one politician, one elected official, cannot do anything on his own in the Congress. You can recall Ronald Reagan's farewell address in January 1989, where he said, "I did not do anything that you did not do for me," meaning that his power came from the people. The people were behind him, and so he was effective in the changes that he brought about in the 1980s. President Trump has the public behind him. That's why he's able to do what he's doing. And that sentiment goes all the way back even to Abraham Lincoln. When you look at his first debate with Stephen Douglas in 1858 in Ottawa, Illinois, where he said, public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Against it, nothing can succeed. And so what we need is to get our elected officials, myself included as a leader, to get the public sentiment behind us demanding that we roll back federal spending for the good of our children and grandchildren so that we can pass on a country that's at least as prosperous as the one that we inherited. So what can Gino do on his own? He can do nothing. But what can he do with the public behind him? We can move mountains, and we can reduce that national debt.
We're in studio with Gino Bolso. Got another question for you here. And a lot of conservatives echo these concerns online. Do you share any of the concerns that many conservatives have about a growing police state with the Palantir contracts happening behind the scenes?
With which contracts?
Palantir. Creating national databases, AI, all the like.
Well, it's not something that I've focused on, Chris. I mean, I know that the more timely issue that we've seen recently is President Trump invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807 to quell civil disobedience and criminal conduct in D.C. and Chicago and possibly in Memphis. And I'm certainly behind President Trump's efforts in that regard. But with regard to this other issue, it's not something I've studied.
Okay. We got a question here from Mariah in Nashville. Mariah, you're on with Gino Bolso. What's up, Mariah?
Hey, Gino. I'm really excited that you're running. A couple of years ago, I was personally fighting a public school here in Metro Nashville. I've got 2 daughters because there was lots of pride flags hanging around there, and she was in kindergarten. And I did my best to fight the school Adrian battle. I was completely ignored. There was a after-school family night where all the parents got to come and have a cultural night. They literally covered up all the pride flags with black paper so the parents couldn't see it. And then it was, I think, in January 2024 when you proposed or you filed a bill to ban quote-unquote political flags. And that's when I'm like, thank God there's somebody fighting for this that's bigger than me, which you know, it's not your fault, but I know that there's some it just didn't pass. So I'm really excited to have you running. My ears pricked up when I heard your name. But I want to know, how are we going to get there? Because as of today, at Granbury Elementary and Metro Public Schools, there's still pride flags going around. That's part one of the question, and obviously it's going to go around education. Additionally, as a concerned mother, you know, the food as well. You know, they start off the kids in the morning with high fructose corn syrup food at school. I volunteer at the school a lot, and I see what they're feeding, what they're starting off the kids with in the morning. You know, what are we doing about our kids' health at school? You know, I don't have the luxury of homeschooling. I would love to. I'm self-employed. I'm a small business owner, feeling the struggles of that as well. It's really hard for me to send my child to public schools, but I have no choice right now. I can't afford private school. How do we keep them safe from the indoctrination? How are we going to get the food safer? I'll stop there.
All right. Hey, great question, Mariah. Hey, before Gino answers, though, on the homeschooling front, you got to choose your hard. You have to. Like, yes, homeschooling as a small business owner is going to be hard. You can do it. You can do it. But the other side of that is public schools, and that's hard, too. So you got to choose your hard on the homeschool. And then I'll pass it over to you, Gino.
Yeah, all great points, Mariah. Thank you for calling and making them. And let me try to hit as many of them as I can. You know, first, with regard to the bill to ban political flags, that is still very much alive. It's something that is going to be moving in the Tennessee House of Representatives in January. In the 113th General Assembly, we got that bill all the way through the House. And when it got to the floor of the Senate for a final vote, we ended up being 3 votes shy of the 17 votes that we needed in the state Senate. And there are some reasons why that happened that I believe have been resolved. So I'm very optimistic that that bill is going to actually be passed into law and signed by Governor Lee next year. Second, you know, with regard to the issue of nutrition in schools, you know, one of the things that we are in the process of doing, fortunately, is demolishing the Department of Education, because the Department of Education has distorted the way that we teach. It has distorted the way that we feed. It's distorted the way that we care for children in public schools across the country. And because all that money that comes from the Department of Education has come with these strings attached, by getting rid of the Department of Education, as President Trump is doing, we're going to be able to address all of those issues here in the state in a way that provides for the best health, the best nutrition for all of our school children. And with regard to these other issues about indoctrination of children, I mean, obviously, it does go on. We see that time and time again. I have parents come to me as a private attorney to help them because when they complain to school administrators or to a school superintendent or to a school board member, they simply get no satisfaction. And you may be aware, Mariah, that we had a case recently in my own home county where a principal of a middle school allowed a biological boy who, quote, identifies as a girl to sit in on a girls-only family life curriculum class or sex education class. And 13 of the young ladies were just so uncomfortable with that they left and didn't attend. And the principal decided to allow the biological boy to stay and to have the girls leave. And parents were so outraged that they could not get any satisfaction from the principal, from the superintendent, or from the school board member that they came to me as a private attorney. And we have filed a suit against that principal and against the school board for violating Tennessee law for having that biological boy in the girls-only class. And I'll point out finally that, Mariah, the fact that we passed the Education Freedom Act, giving parents more choice in education, is just wonderful for parents because it gives them an additional option. If a parent feels that the local school is a school that may perhaps indoctrinate the child rather than educate the child, we now have these education freedom scholarships available to choose an alternative, some other private school that can educate a child in accordance with the parents' values.
If you hit the lottery.
If you hit the lottery, because there are only 20,000 of those scholarships. But my hope and expectation is that that program will be expanding year over year. It's already set to expand by statute by 5,000 scholarships a year, but the General Assembly can always increase that.
What does that do to Tennessee's budget?
It does very little to it ultimately because you have a set amount of money that follows a student wherever that student goes, whether it's to public school or to a charter school, which is also a form of a public school, or an out-of-county public school, or to a private school. So ultimately, Tennessee is going to pay the same to educate a child wherever the school goes.
You mentioned Governor Lee a minute ago. How would you grade his performance as governor of the state of Tennessee?
I think on balance, he's done a good job. I mean, obviously, there are things that I'm not happy about. We had that special...
Has he been great?
I think he's done a good job, Chris.
You think so?
I do.
Okay.
And I think, and it's not just me, I think if you talk to most Tennesseans, I mean, they'll...
I do.
Okay, I know you do. Well, the ones that I speak to, on balance, believe that the governor has done a good job. Now, that's not to say that there are not criticisms.
What would you say his biggest accomplishment is?
The Education Freedom Act.
A lot of conservatives hate that.
Well, some do, but it is something that President Trump tweeted on Truth Social for us to vote in favor of. It's something that's been part of the Republican Party platform for decades. It's something
Trump
that
was
empowers
also a
parents.
huge fan of Operation Warp Speed. I mean, we don't have to just go along with it because Trump goes along with it, do we?
No, we don't have to. But when looking at Governor Lee's accomplishment, I think the signature accomplishment of Governor Lee is that Education Freedom Act. And it's something that obviously President Trump was behind. It's something conservative Republicans have been behind for a long time. And the bill actually helped public schools as well. That's something that a lot of folks either don't know or they just simply skip over. But there's a hold harmless provision in there that helps our rural schools maintain the same level of funding, even if they experience disenrollment for any reason, whether it has to do with students accepting a education freedom scholarship or some other reason.
We got time for one more call. Steve is on the road. He's a veteran. Thank you for your service, sir. You're on with Gino.
Gino.
Yes.
How you doing today?
Doing fine, Stephen. I hope you are as well.
Good. I hope you stick up for the veterans. And I've got a question I want to give you, and I really want to know how you see it, what you think of it, and what you would do to change it. So I spent 8 years in active duty, I got out and I did reserve duty. And they have a point system that they figure up, and that's how they figure your pay for retirement when you retire.
Okay.
So during them years, I had some injuries. I got a 30% disability.
All right.
They take that 30% disability from my retirement check, and they pay me that 30% disability. And I lose 30% out of my retirement check. Do you think that's fair to the veterans? Do you think that should be changed? And if so, would you be willing to really look into it, even if you made it in there or not?
Yes, and first, Stephen, thank you for your service to our country. And what you described strikes me as terribly unfair and something that I certainly am happy to look into and to try to work about changing, because I think we need to do whatever we can for our veterans, especially those who are disabled. And one of the bills that I'm happy to say that I sponsored earlier this year was called the Valor Act, that increased the property tax exemption that's available under Tennessee law to all of our totally and permanently disabled veterans. And it's something that we're waiting for Governor Lee to fund in his next budget. But I am a big fan of veterans. I believe that we have a solemn obligation to care for our veterans, their families, their widows, their orphans, and especially when they've been disabled, as you have been.
Amen. I agree with that as well. Gino Bolso is running for Mark Green's vacated congressional seat, 7th District of Tennessee. Parting thoughts before you go. Why would somebody in the 7th Congressional District need to vote for Gino Bolso?
If there's somebody who loves our country and loves the founding of our country and loves the Constitution and wants to return to the type of limited government so that we can get the cost of living under control and actually push power back to the state as our 10th Amendment requires, they will definitely want to go to votegino.com and support us, or to look us up on Twitter at Gino Bolso, or our Facebook page, Gino for Tennessee, because I am known, Chris, in the race as the constitutional conservative. I'm someone that just loves this country immensely. I love the Constitution. I revere it. And I'm just aching to get to D.C. so that we can give the people the type of government that their founders intended.
Well, Gino, I appreciate the time today, and I appreciate your willingness to take questions from the voters here in Tennessee. Thank you so much, and we'll be keeping tabs on the race, and you're welcome anytime, man.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, it's 10:55, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store, my friends and yours. Have you been to the Glock store lately? I need to get back. If I'm being completely honest with you, I need to train more, but I think every single one of us can say we need to train more. And when I do train, I train at the Glock store, and they're exclusive shooting rooms. Yeah, it's not a lane range. You're not just punching holes in a paper target. That's not what they do at the Glock store. You're actually training. The Shoot 270 indoor ranges are next level. Real training rooms, working with professional instructors, running drills, multiple targets, learning how to clear a room in the dark, practicing drawing from concealment until it becomes second nature. See, owning a gun is a right, but knowing how to use it under pressure, man, that's a responsibility, and the Glock store is making that responsibility even easier for you. All you got to do is go to shoot270.com to book your appointment, and you're ready to train. The Shoot 270 indoor ranges are only at the Glock store. The Glock store is minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online, glockstore.com.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Tennessee U.S. Senator and 2026 gubernatorial candidate Marsha Blackburn on the WTN Dan Mandis show this morning says the Senate probably won't vote on releasing the full Epstein file.
My understanding, Dan, is that this is something they are doing as a House resolution and as a subpoena from the House committee. I don't think this is something that is going to come to the Senate.
Now, Blackburn has been a vocal proponent for the full release of the Epstein files and other related documents. Meanwhile, the White House says that is not President Trump's signature on the birthday message Democrats claim Donald Trump wrote for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003 and handed over to the House Oversight Committee, where Chairman James Comer was asked about it by ABC's Jay O'Brien today.
Well, I haven't looked at the signature yet. We've been focused more on the autopin signatures from the previous administration that signed all of the pardons and executive orders.
But you've surely seen the letter. Do you believe the president signed it?
The president says he did not sign it, so I take the president at his word.
The president had said in the past that he had a falling out with Epstein in the mid-2000s, and the president's denied writing that letter. Do you drive a Ford? Look for a letter in the mail.
Almost 1.5 million Ford and Lincoln vehicles are being recalled because of a rear view camera issue. The screen can go blank or distort images. Affected models include certain Ford pickup trucks like the F-250 through F-550 SD and the Ranger, along with the Ford Mustang and Lincoln Navigator and MKC from the 2015 through 2019 model years. Affected owners will be notified by mail and instructed to have a dealer inspect the camera. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Jury selection continues today in Florida at the trial of Ryan Routh, the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Trump. ABC News chief investigative correspondent Darren Katursky says he's representing himself.
He's not a lawyer, but he's acting as one, and he opened jury selection by apologizing not for his alleged crimes, but for the inconvenience of prospective jurors having to be there.
And the nation's job creation between last year and this was considerably slower than previously reported. The Labor Department issues its employment benchmark at this time every year, but it comes this time in the midst of a Trump-ordered shakeup of BLS leadership. Still, the revised statistics find that 911,000 fewer jobs were created during the 12 months between April of 2024 and March of this year. That's the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Thanks to Gino Bolso for coming in, being willing to take your questions. Mixed reaction on Gino on the text line, if I'm being honest. Mixed reaction. Some people like him. Some people,
Yeah, a lot of back and forth there, a lot of back and forth on the YouTubes.
But, Gino's not in the room now, so if you got an opinion, 615-737-9986. Totally up to you if you...
We're here for all opinions.
Yeah, what do you think? I don't know. I'm just, again, this is unscientific as it comes.
Yeah.
But as I'm looking at the text line and I'm looking at the YouTube chat, I'll be honest, I didn't see as much negative response for Jody Barrett. And I did see a lot of negative response for Gino. I don't know if that's fair, but I'm just relaying what I saw.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers for the time being.
Very unscientific. That's how we like our science.
Educated, probably uneducated guesses.
Speaking of science, you like this radio segue?
I was like, where is he going with this?
Well, I got science. We have science news. You know what we need?
What do we need?
We need a breaking news bed, but for breaking science news.
It's just a bunch of beakers shattering.
Yeah, beakers shattering. It almost sounds like Stone Cold Steve Austin with the way the glass shatters. I'm
here for it.
We need a breaking science news.
I've got space for it.
All right.
Let's do it.
The ball's in your court now.
Uh-oh.
You got to figure that out.
I said I'd add it. I didn't say...
Breaking science news.
Oh, bass drop would be great.
That's what we need.
That's good.
All right, are you ready for the science news?
Yeah, I'm ready for the science news.
HHS to release report linking Tylenol use in pregnancy to autism.
Ooh.
I'm here for it. I don't know if it's just Tylenol. Not a scientist. Not a doctor. But I do have stories and anecdotal, sure. But a lot of friends who brought their kids in for wellness checks, and it was the next day that the talking stopped, the eye contact stopped, the smiles stopped. And those stories they're numerous. You can find them all online. They're heartbreaking. But this is what we got right now. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to announce later in September links between the usage of popular over-the-counter painkiller Tylenol during pregnancy with autism. The report will also suggest that low levels of folate during pregnancy can cause the developmental disorder. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal. The report will likely suggest that folinic acid, a form of folate known as leucovorin, could be used to decrease symptoms of autism. The people familiar with the matter said the report is expected to be a review of existing research, suggest other potential causes, and suggest further study. So I do like the suggest other potential causes. And part of me looks at this and they say, people familiar with this, the report's expected to be a review of existing research. So once again, the hue and cry of RFK is dismantling these organizations just seems a bit missed because they're just looking at the science that they have on the books that they could have acted on a while ago. Some previous studies that they've looked at have indicated that using Tylenol, which has the active ingredient acetaminophen, could pose potential risks to fetal development, while other studies found no such associations. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists said Tylenol is safe to use during pregnancy, but cautions, as with other medications, that expecting mothers should consult with their doctors before using. The National Institute of Health has taken the lead on drafting that report, and the HHS staff is preparing the report. That is preparing the report is expected to list possible causes for the disorder and discuss what is known and unknown. An HHS spokesman said, "We're using gold standard science to get to the bottom of America's unprecedented rise in autism rates until we release the final report. Any claims about its contents are nothing more than speculation." So with that being said, all we're doing is speculating. Along with the report, the Department of Health and Human Services is expected to announce large grants as part of the NIH's Autism Data Science Initiative. Kennedy has said that by September, we'll know what has caused the autism epidemic. And while critics say that the timeline laid out by Kennedy is impossible, if the government conducts a valid scientific inquiry, Kennedy's advisors have instead promised to launch an NIH research effort by September. In the wake of the Wall Street Journal's report, shares in Kevnu, the parent company of Tylenol maker McNeil Consumer Healthcare, fell sharply. ending 9.3% lower on Friday. A Kev New spokesperson said, "Nothing is more important to us than the health and safety of those who take our products. We've continuously evaluated the science and continue to believe there's no causal link between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and autism." So they're saying, don't worry about it. Meanwhile, RFK Jr. has been under attack, and he's gone on multiple shows to defend himself. He was on with Charlie Kirk yesterday, and Charlie Kirk said, listen, if you get poisoned, RFK said on the show, if you get poisoned by Coca-Cola, you can stop drinking Coca-Cola. But with a lot of these vaccines, you get poisoned and you're mandated to take them. You have to still take them anyway. What's up with that?
Companies, we have a free market system in this country, and part of that is that there's consequences if you make a bad product. And, vaccines are particularly exempt from that because there's no free market economy. Normally, if you get poisoned by Coca-Cola, you can stop drinking Coca-Cola. But if you get poisoned by a vaccine, your kids still have to take that vaccine to get into the school. If your doctor tells you your child will die because, you can look and see what happened to elder siblings, there's some kind of genetic vulnerability that's affected the older siblings, and the doctor wants to tell you your third child should not take this vaccine, he's going to be punished for that. And also the schools won't let you go to school no matter what. So in New York and California, there's not only no religious exemptions, there's no philosophical exemptions, but there also effectively is no medical exemption.
Which is insane. Just on its face, it's absolutely bovine scatology. Religious exemptions, we should be able to stop there. But we saw during COVID, people would be like, well, are you really religious? It's like, that's not up to you to decide, loser. It has nothing to do with you. It just doesn't.
Loser?
What do you mean? Are you really religious? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
They'd be like, well, how religious are you? Religious enough not to take this jab, I'll tell you that much.
What kind of scale is this?
But the medical exemption, there are certain genes that they've isolated that make you a bit more susceptible to vaccine injury. Mm-hmm. And if you have those genes, you shouldn't take it. But a lot of schools are like, no, you got to take it anyway. You got to take it anyway. How about no? Loser? It's just like,
how about no? So these kids, it's mandated, and because it's mandated, there's no market forces that tell you, that allow you, if you don't like the product, if you have reservations about it, you can't stop using it. You got to take it anyway. So the things that, and then, you have, of course, the mainstream media is bought and brain dead when it comes to these issues.
Facts.
They will not criticize, they will not report vaccine injury.
Yep.
The Congress is very with the. So you have none of the market forces that apply that make other products safe. There is zero incentive for these companies to make them safe. And they don't get punished for it in the market. They don't get punished for it in the court. And so, what we're going to try to do is to make sure that the parents who do get injured get compensation, that they get it very quickly, and they get it without the kind of adversarial impediments that have now been erected over the past 40 years.
Good. Listen, I'm a huge fan of RFK. I know that there's a lot of senators that weren't fans of him the other day, and they were yelling at him and shrieking. Chris Christie went on the news over the weekend to yell about RFK Jr., and I'll be honest with you, it made me chuckle. Because as you'll hear, Chris Christie just lambaste RFK Jr. And call RFK Jr. a danger to American health. I look at Chris Christie and I say, yes, sir, you are the picture of American health. It's like, you're doing great. You're doing great. Let's not listen to RFK.
You looked at that appearance before Congress, and it just confirms what all of us around this table have known for decades. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a foolish man, full of foolish and vapid ideas.
Okay. Obama wanted to give him a spot in his cabinet. Did you know that?
And that was on display again this week in front of Congress. And I really don't want to hear about Bill Cassidy, because he is a co-conspirator with the President of the United States for putting this wholly unqualified man in charge of 25% of all government spending. Without Cassidy's vote, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would not be it. And maybe he's feeling some guilt from what he did. But I'll tell you this. president did this. He knows. The president's smart enough to know RFK Jr. doesn't belong in that job. But after he won, he wanted to show everybody, I can do whatever I want to do because this Senate will be compliant no matter what I do. And I'll put the greatest vaccine and public health denier of the last 20 years in charge of public health in America. It's a human middle finger, George, to everybody who opposed them.
RFK Jr. is a human middle finger to everyone who opposed Donald Trump. Chris Christie just really upset that RFK wants to make America healthy again because of what that would mean for him. Chris Christie, what a loser. What a loser. RFK Jr. didn't take any of this stuff sitting down. He heard the criticisms. He was there at the Senate hearing as these senators are screaming at him. And he goes, guys, you know what? I don't take it seriously because all of these senators are bought and paid for by Big Pharma.
Well, I mean, I've come to realize that those hearings are performative. They're theater. And, they're not the kind of debate or open conversation that democracy would give us at its ideal. And then all of those senators are taking hundreds of thousands of dollars, including, in some cases, millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry. So they don't want to hear the answers to the questions that they ask me.
Right.
They want to make a little speech and then shut me down. But they can't deny the fact that we did worse than COVID, that the CDC is a broken agency. We did worse in COVID than any country in the world. We have 4.2% of the world's population. We have 20% of the world's COVID deaths. We literally we're the worst team in the league. I've been brought in as a new manager, and my job is to shake up the organization, to fire the people who were responsible for masking our children with no science, for social distancing orders with no science, or all the other thing, for all of the other things that they try, for closing our schools at the behest of the teachers union and hurting workers all over America. These were bad. We literally did worse than any country in the world.
And they want to blame RFK for these institutions being in shambles. Don't let facts get in the way of a good argument. It's just insane. President Trump, he has announced that he is standing by RFK in the midst of this turmoil, as even Republicans are backing away from him. And for me, I think they're backing away because of their big pharma donors. But this was yesterday, President Trump on RFK Jr.
Is all the establishment attacks on RFK Jr.?
Well, he's a different kind of a guy. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's got a lot of ideas. Normally they don't have any ideas, and that's why we have problems with autism and so many other things, because we're coming up with the answers for autism. You watch. We're coming up with the answers for other things that normal people, regular people, easy to get along with people wouldn't be able to do. He's got a lot of ideas, and so do I, and we're going to clean it up.
Now, that's President Trump publicly standing by RFK Jr., but he's also standing by him online as well. President Trump posted a video yesterday that was pretty wild. It's a video of a renowned geneticist and the director of genetics at Maryland Medical Library discussing about how poisonous many vaccines are. Yeah. He posted this on his True Social account. It's about a 2-minute video. We'll play it after the break. It's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yo, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. And I got to tell you, I use them in my own home. You should use them too. I can honestly say these guys make things easy, affordable, and they're always dependable. Right now, they have their best prices of the year event going on, and the savings, buzzing. It's a bee pun. There's going to be more. Don't worry. Here's what I love, though. If you refer a neighbor, both of you are going to get a $50 credit when you schedule heating maintenance. That's a win-win. It's also National Grandparents' Day this month. If you're a Beehive Club member, you can gift a free membership to your grandparents. That's Busy Bee's way of honoring family, and I think that's pretty special. If you need a new heating unit, well, every purchase is going to come with a free 5-year labor warranty. Huge peace of mind. And here's my favorite deal. With any heater, repair, or maintenance, Busy Bee is going to give you a free dryer vent cleaning. That protects your home and helps your system breathe easier at no extra cost. So do what I did. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Or you can find them online, busybeehvac.com.
Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn explains why, at the moment, she's not agreeing to debate Congressman John Rose in the governor's race. That's at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. So we have RFK. He's going to be releasing his autism report here in the coming days. And yesterday, Donald Trump on Truth Social dropping a vax bomb that everybody was talking about online. I haven't seen it covered anywhere in the mainstream media, but he posted this video, and the video's been around for a while. It's not a new video. It's the director of genetics at Maryland Medical Library talking about how poisonous many vaccines with thimerosal are. Now, the interesting point to make is that in the box around the video, if you're watching on the stream, you'll see it. You'll see Trump's full Truth Social post. But if you're listening on the radio, you'll miss this. But on the video Trump posted on Truth Social, it said on top of the video frame, they're all poison. And then underneath it, every single one. This is the video.
Show them the thimerosal bomb, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic, has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff.
And it's in vaccine.
And this is what's in the vaccine.
It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires, it's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed
You
to
have last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is the influenza vaccine from Adventist Pasteur, their flu zone. Thimerosal, 25 micrograms of mercury per dose.
I'd like to point out that a lot of people didn't know, and I'm one of them. I've given 2,000 Rogam shots. I've been in vaccines for 35 years. I didn't know that Rogam had thimerosal in it. So I think a lot of the doctors were unaware. They were unaware that even the word thimerosal meant mercury.
It's insane. It's insane. And President Trump posted this on his True Social. Now, it's important to point out that on July 23rd, 2025, RFK Jr. Approved a new recommendation to remove that preservative, thimerosal, from all influenza vaccines distributed in the United States. This is an extension of his vaccine advisory panel's earlier vote in June that specifically targeted flu vaccines for children and pregnant women. But this has been a long-running debate. And it's interesting to see President Trump posting this before we get the autism report. It's also interesting because just a couple days ago, President Trump was pushing back against Florida. Florida, as you remember, they removed all of their vaccine mandates. All of them. They said you can't have vaccine mandates. And Trump kind of pushed back on that when he was approached about it in the Oval Office.
Florida question, the vaccine mandates that were rolled back for school children. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we have to be very careful. Look, you have some vaccines that are so amazing. The polio vaccine, I happen to think, is amazing. A lot of people think that COVID is amazing. You know, there are many people that believe strongly in that. But you have some vaccines that are so incredible. And I think you have to be very careful when you say that some people don't have to be vaccinated. It's a very tough position.
I don't think it's a tough position at all, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that you should have the right to choose what goes into your own body. The Surgeon General, Joseph Ladapo, he was on CNN, and he pushed back against the president doubling down on ending vaccine mandates in Florida, and I thank him for it. This is Dr. Joseph Ladapo.
You know, we as a state and I as an individual recommended against the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines for children, healthy children, very early, 2 years ago or so. And that was the correct decision there. And I've made a series of just, you know, and I'm not alone. It just so happens that most of the people who, you know, have larger microphones tend to align with the American Medical Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics. But we've been right over and over again because what we've said has been based on data and common sense. In this particular area, this is really just about, it's really about ethics. I mean, is it appropriate for a government or any other entity to dictate to you what you should put in your body? No, it's absolutely not appropriate. You have sovereignty over your body. I mean, that's where it starts. And you should be able to decide what you put in your body. And if you can't decide what you put in your body, I mean, you know, what do you actually, you know, what can you decide?
Amen. And I completely agree with that. It's hard to try to figure out where President Trump is on all this stuff currently. I mean, he's supporting RFK publicly. He's posting these videos about thimerosal on his True Social, and then he's in the Oval Office saying, well, I don't know if we should get rid of all vaccine mandates. It's a wild time to be alive. Something to pay attention to, and you know we will be right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, running for governor in 2026, telling WTN's Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis this morning why she's not agreeing for now to debate Congressman John Rose.
There's going to be plenty of time for that discussion. What we're doing right now is listening to Tennesseans and asking them what they want to hear discussed in this governor's race.
Blackburn's been a vocal proponent for the full release of the Epstein files and other related documents, and the chairman of the Republican-led House Oversight Committee, James Comer, telling ABC's Jay O'Brien he doesn't believe that's President Trump's signature on that letter, which Democrats claim is from President Trump for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003.
Why put out a document, as you say, that you don't know is authentic?
We put out all the documents. We put out everything because we provide what I said we're going to do is every document that we get, we're going to review and make sure that there are no victims' names listed because some of the victims want their names public. Most of them do not.
And the White House is weighing in after the Labor Department issued revised numbers that claim 911,000 fewer jobs were created during the 12 months between April of last year and March of this year.
The White House is using this new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing a significant downward revision in jobs over the period from April 2024 to March 2025 to criticize the previous administration. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, the benchmark revision shows that, quote, Biden's economy was a disaster and the BLS is broken. The report comes after President Trump fired the commissioner of the BLS in August, accusing the agency without evidence of releasing numbers that were rigged and insisting that economic data should not be manipulated for political purposes. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Defense Systems. Brink Fiddler is a great guy, and you're going to learn a lot when you take the training at Defense Systems. I've done it myself. It's incredible. You're going to learn real-life skills that could actually save someone's life. I don't ever want to have to use them. I hope I never do. But I'm grateful that I have these skills just in case. Defense Systems is a life safety and security consulting firm, and they specialize in physical security and active violence mitigation training. They've trained everyone from schools to corporations, healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing plants, even country music tours. Here in Nashville, they trained our team at Cumulus. They brought them in. Training was eye-opening. It's not just like check-the-box training. It's actual skills, life skills that you can use anywhere, even outside of work. They've done this for over 30 Middle Tennessee schools. Has your child's school had this training? Active violence events are on the rise, and sometimes danger spills into everyday places. If you or a loved one were critically injured, would you know what to do? Don't let the answer be no. Call Defense Systems today, 615-236-6484. That's 615-236-6484, or find them online, defensesystems.com. Now, before you ask, I definitely voted for this.
Okay. They don't take Reese's or food stamps no more, no candy. So they went live when they said they're going to take out all the snacks. They're taking away all the snacks on EBT. What's the point of having it?
God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
Go on, get your butt to work if you want to get some fudge rounds. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
The Reese, they didn't take the Reese out. Food stamps is boring right now.
$11:38, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Ann. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Spent the commercial break arguing with libs in the YouTube chat.
As one does.
It's just, I don't know, man. People are mad at me. People are mad at, where did you get your medical degree?
So were they all capping you?
They were trying to. I said, I'm not a doctor. Well, where did Trump get his medical degree? He doesn't have one. The video that I shared, the video that we've just played, was the director of genetics at Maryland Medical Library. So the question that you would want to ask is, where did he get his medical degree? Brother?
Brother?
That's what I would say. Like, Trump posted a video. He's not a doctor.
What?
How dare he?
I got mine from this guy standing out here by Demumbrian.
Listen.
Just handing them out.
That's where I get my booster. I said, you sure this is okay? He said, yeah. He said, yeah. Perfect. Just stuck my arm out the window. I said, let's do this 2021 style. I'm gonna keep the car rolling. Sorry, I didn't actually do that.
I was gonna say, did you have a weird feeling of euphoric bliss?
I said, I don't think that was a vaccine, bro.
Yeah, might have got the wrong thing, but probably ended up better.
Fell asleep for an hour and woke up to somebody knocking on my window. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
You're off in a ditch somewhere.
The people is so funny.
Good times.
Like, listen, man, I'm not a doctor. I just find this stuff interesting.
Not a doctor.
And I'm not a doctor, so there's that. Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
Lightning round time.
It's the Lightning Round with Chris Hand.
We do it every day this time. Stories that wouldn't fill up a whole segment, or stories that we didn't have time to get to because we were talking with Gino Bulso. All those things. We do that during the lightning round. The first story here is awesome. Remember the Chappelle Show sketch where he said modern problems require modern solutions?
Oh, yeah.
File this under that. We'll take you to a land of mystery. You may know it as California. And when the local officials aren't doing anything about your store getting ransacked and robbed, and Donald Trump putting the National Guard in the city is tyranny, you got to come up with new solutions, right? So this one guy did. He found a way to make glass that can withstand hammers. Hammerproof time.
Ooh.
I like it. Modern problems, modern solutions. Let's listen to this hero doing something that the local government should have done, stopping crime.
It may be the blessing that LA retailers have been waiting for.
They've been waiting for a blessing. Best we can do is you have to buy 6 times as expensive glass.
Yeah.
It's the best we can do. I'm not knocking this guy. I do think that he's providing a service, but it's like you've been waiting for a blessing because the government let you down. All right, we have it for you. Hammerproof glass.
It's called a polycarbonate unbreakable glass that stores are now using to defend against hammer-toting criminals. Ray Thiessen, himself a business owner, got the idea 2 years ago.
a lot of break-in back there in that time, a lot of break-in to liquor store and smoke shops especially.
Well, but those, they're just trying to feed their family, right?
Yeah, the 55-inch plasma screen TV, just feeding their family.
Jasmine Crockett said we shouldn't prosecute crimes for survival. So, it's like Les Mis. These guys are just, it's a carton of Newports. For the family. That's why I grabbed the carton.
It's a share.
So he went to work.
And we did a lot of tests, drove in the car, hit it with the slug hammer. We try a lot of different ways.
It's a material that actually has been around for a while. But Ray saw that by customizing the sheets to fit a customer's needs, he could save them money and heartache. He advertised his product on social media, and the calls started coming.
They say that's amazing. We need to do my store. When can you come over?
His most recent success story is Christoph's Jewelers at Westfield Fashion Square in Sherman Oaks. Conveniently close to a mall exit, the jeweler had been hit earlier this year. But on Wednesday, as hard as they tried, the thieves couldn't break the new cases, and not one piece of jewelry was lost.
Now, if you're not watching on the YouTube or Rumble stream, you missed the video element where you see a guy whose family is obviously hungry, obviously, and he's doing whatever he can to provide for them by taking a sledgehammer to a jewelry box, right? Like those glass displays of all the jewelry. Because when you're starving, you'd eat anything, to and including diamonds. So, I don't know what food group that is. We're waiting on RFK to release the new food pyramid.
It has to be grain, right?
I would think.
Small
now,
enough.
reinforced doors and windows are popping up all around L.A.
That's it's a jackpot for me. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me feel so good.
Thank you, Gavin Newsom. Thank you for doing nothing, because now we're caking. We're just making a lot of cake on this.
I am now millionaire.
We are very rich, very rich. I would like to thank all the Democrat politicians that did nothing. I would like to thank all the mayors who tied the police hands and creating this business opportunity for me. Many, many blessings, many gratitudes. Modern problems, modern solutions. All right, got another story for you here in the lightning round. Cracker Barrel. Anybody else on 65 see the billboard with the new logo? I saw that this morning, and I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. I thought we were getting rid of this. I thought we were going back.
I thought that was a big no.
I thought it was a hard pass. It was supposed to be, but the billboard on 65 still has the new, the old new logo, or the new old logo. It was the new logo, but it's since been retired.
Since been retired for the old logo, which is now the new logo.
Yeah. So the old logo is the new logo, but the new logo is the old logo.
Correct. I think.
And they put the wrong one on the billboard.
Yes.
They put the old new one. Not the new old one.
Yes.
We need more crackers and barrels. That's the problem.
You Ritz fan?
I love them. I love them. A little goat cheese with some cranberries on it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Twist my arm. So anyway, Cracker Barrel. Do they have goat cheese with cranberries at Cracker Barrel? Probably not.
Probably not.
Step it up. I thought you guys were.
I'll check out the shop section.
I thought you guys were getting better. Anyway,
where's my goat cheese, bro?
They posted a tweet this morning, 9:36 a.m. our time. They said, "You've shared your voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, the new one and the old one, the old new one and the new old one, but also on our restaurants. We're continuing to listen. Good. Listen up. We need more goat cheese. Today, we're suspending our remodels." Oh. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, you don't need to worry. It won't be. We've lost too much money on this advertising campaign. Do you think that they're actually canceling it because they're like, nobody wants it, or do you think they ran out of money from their $700 million rebrand?
Ooh, I feel like it's a money thing.
It's got to be. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, you don't need to worry. It won't be. With our recent announcement that our old-timer logo will remain, along with our bigger focus in the kitchen and on your plate, we hope that today's step reinforces that we hear you. I hate all the language about being heard. That's part of the statement I don't like.
See, we wouldn't have had to go through any of this if they just not touched it.
I'll be honest with you. We stopped in a Cracker Barrel.
Oh?
It was a renovated Cracker Barrel.
Coming back from the game?
Yep, we were coming back from the Atlanta Braves game.
Yep.
We had to stop. It's a good spot for the bathroom. If you got kids, everybody understands. It's a good bathroom spot. Of course, you have to say no 15 times on the way into the bathroom and on the way out of the bathroom. But it's there, and it's always there.
No, you can't have the race car.
But it was completely remodeled. We were between Manchester and Chattanooga somewhere along the way. I don't remember exactly where we were because I wasn't paying attention. I just saw the exit sign. I was like, perfect, we can go to the bathroom here. The inside remodel didn't look too bad. Like, it wasn't, I mean, I'm not even trying to, like, have a hot take. It just didn't, my sensibilities weren't like, alarmed by it, you know?
It's like, I've heard, I mean, the one in Mount Juliet is renovated. It's got a new paint job. It's got some of the stuff taken away. It doesn't look bad.
It's not the same.
But yeah.
But I don't think anybody would have noticed had you not messed up the logo too.
Yeah. I think if they had just gone systematically and slowly replaced all of them.
I'm with you.
Like, to be honest, I was a little bummed when I saw it because they removed some of the stuff that I liked in there, but I was like, oh, okay. And I moved on and ate my meal.
Why are they still cleaning this up though? After you did the logo part, shouldn't you have just backed off and like stopped talking for a while?
Oh, for sure.
Like, let this die down and go away. We don't need more statements.
Yeah, you should have come back with like a holiday promotion or new menu item or something like that to like generate good publicity, not roll.
Instead of like, hey, by the way, that other mess up that we had, we're trying to fix.
Yeah, we're still here.
Well, are they going to remodel the other restaurants back? We should start having faux outrage.
We can't afford to take the rackets off the ones that we didn't take the rackets off the walls of, but we might be able to put the rackets back on the walls of the ones that you do like.
All right, got another story for you here in the lightning round. I haven't heard this clip yet. It got sent to me by a friend.
I'm ready.
Are you? I always make Mason nervous when I say this. I haven't heard it yet. Apparently, Tom Homan went scorched earth on MSNBC this morning with the Morning Joe folks.
Ooh.
I love me some good Tom Homan going scorched earth. So let's listen to this in real time. We'll react together.
I see on the show this morning you had Governor Healy talking about ICE doing enforcement operations at a church. False. Didn't happen.
They were parked there. They did not do an operation there. She said they were parked in a public space legally.
But to say that.
He's talking about the governor of Massachusetts, Operation Patriot 2.0 underway currently in Massachusetts. And he says MSNBC is spreading fake news.
To push that out there puts fear in the immigrant community. So let me tell you what's happening.
That puts fear in the community. Right. To park the ICE agent's vehicle
they're on a
near
public
a church.
Street.
They're
on a public street.
She said
they're on a public street
sir.
waiting to respond to a criminal alien release pulled aside the road. Let me tell you, in the last couple of days, what's happened in Boston. They've arrested Victor Gomez Perez, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Guatemala, with charges of aggravated rape, assault and battery with dangerous weapon, indecent assault and battery on a victim 14 years or younger. They arrested Kaylee Espinosa, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Colombia, with charges of aggravated assault on a pregnant victim. They arrested Joshua Gonzalez, a 24-year-old criminal alien from Dominican Republic, with charges for trafficking heroin, morphine, opium, resisting police, disorderly conduct, and drug distribution. They also arrested Samuel Armando Barrero, a 20-year-old criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, pending charges for assault and battery on a child. So Mayor Wu and Governor Healy, they ought to be calling ICE and thanking them for making their streets safer, for protecting their communities and taking these people off the street. They've turned a blind eye to this. They're sanctuary cities. Sanctuaries, cities, and sanctuary states are sanctuaries for criminals. Give ICE access to the jail to arrest a bad guy in the jail.
Amen.
Rather than have to go in the community to find them.
I mean, that's the argument right there. Oh, you're making people feel unsafe on the streets. Well, if you let us into the jail, we wouldn't have to be on the streets. It's the same argument with Los Angeles. They're making Angelinos feel unsafe. Well, if you let us into the jail, we wouldn't have to. Wouldn't have to. And Mika Brzezinski, do you see her sitting there with an S-eating grin on her face the entire time?
Did she? It sounded like she exhaled in like disagreement. She's
Like, enough about the illegal alien child rapist that they're releasing onto the streets, please.
The guffaw of her.
Tom,
also, sorry, just real quick. I love how he whipped out his glasses so he could read through that list to make sure he got everything right, because it was almost him stepping up a gear.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we're laying it out.
You don't want to see glasses, Tom Homan.
No.
No. I think that's the most dangerous Tom Homan there is, and he keeps going.
When you go into community find, it puts ICE officers at greater risk. It puts the community at greater risk. It puts the alien at greater risk, because anything can happen on a street risk. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to prioritize public safety threats when you got governors and mayors who are releasing these public safety threats every day into the community. That causes the crime rate, and we've seen some terrible incidents in the last few days where innocent victims are murdered. This past year, I've seen innocent Americans raped and murdered by people who are not supposed to be here. So rather than going back and forth and say, well, ICE has got a car parked near a church, that is ridiculous. You're out there looking for people like this.
Amen.
Exactly what they're
Well,
doing.
I would argue that actually that the ICE vehicle parked outside a Spanish mass is a frightening sight, given what has happened in this country.
Oh, they're frightened. Okay, well, tell them that if you're here legally, you got nothing to worry about. What are we can't enforce the laws because people are frightened? I am so frightened when I drink 15 beers and I see a DUI checkpoint. It's just,
I bet you drug dealers are scared when they see cops outside.
Yeah. Oh, should we stop?
Easily.
Should we stop enforcing those laws? We don't want to frighten anybody.
I also, with respect, sir, thank you for the information that you have shared on this show, but we would appreciate all of the information. All of it. All of the data that you say you have.
I've done this show several times. Every time on your show, I speak with integrity, I speak with honesty, and I speak with facts. The bottom line is, because of all this false narrative, and you using the term disappearing people,
well,
is
that's
disgusting.
What's happened. That happened to the group that was sent to El Salvador.
U.S. citizens get arrested every day. U.S. citizens get arrested by police every day. Are they being disappeared?
No,
the laws are being enforced. They're being arrested. They're being put in detention because they committed a criminal offense.
Not like what you're doing.
Not
even close.
We're enforcing the law and arresting people here in violation of law that are public safety threats. That's not disappearing people. That's enforcing the laws of this country and making this country safer.
Amen. She said that's not even close to what the police do. Not even close. Sometimes you just can't fix the TDS. It's 11:54. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Better Water LLC. If you need clean water in your home, you need to talk to these patriots. It's not just for the frogs. It's for you and your family as well. If you're tired of weird smells, stains, or just plain old bad tasting water at the house or at the office, these are the people that you need to call. You can think of it like installing a giant Brita filter for all the water that comes into your home. Or you can scale it down and fit one cozy right underneath the sink for the faucet in the kitchen. You can do a lot of things because you might need to. You could have some nasty stuff in your water. Sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, even E. coli. If you have that stuff, well, they offer a range of options. Reverse osmosis, specialized filters, UV lights, you name it, Better Water has you covered. If you're not sure if you have that stuff in your water or not, Better Water will test your water for free. All you got to do is give them a call today, 615-355-6063. Tell them Chris Hand said that you'll test my water for free. They'll say, right away, sir, or ma'am, right away. They'll do it. If you got that nasty stuff in there, they'll get the junk out of your tap. 615-355-6063 or find them online, betterwater.com.